of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Mr. Means, would you like to do the roll call?
This would. Commissioner Sprigga,
Here.
Commissioner Schultz,
Here.
Commissioner Howard,
Here.
Commissioner Cruz. Here. Commissioner Stefani,
Here.
Commissioner Jenner here, Commissioner Chisholm. Here. Commissioner House. Here. And Commissioner Wood is excused.
Excellent. We do have the most recent agendas at your station. I know we had emailed out versions prior to this as well. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Second.
Right. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenner, second by Commissioner Chisholm to adopt the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we are down to the student council report, and we have Kirsten Mellon this here. So welcome, everyone. We're getting like. Thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. So, all right, you have the floor.
Okay, do you want me to stand up there?
You can,
Whatever you
would like to do.
I'll just. So I'll talk about activities. Last weekend we did the Century Riot and that was a lot of fun. You didn't know a box of pickle juice is $800. Yeah.
Expensive box.
So this was a fundraiser for student council?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we made
Yes.
sandwiches and then it and other food.
And different groups, nonprofits can, get signed up.
We did it.
Yeah, student council's right there. So thank you for asking that, Mrs. Cruz.
How many PB and J sandwiches did you guys make?
Oh my God, too many.
Oh, how were the bees?
They were
They were
terrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very good.
but they did sting. That was weird. Just attacked you. This past weekend. We also did, it's the. I'm sorry.
There you
I've got this. Yeah, isn't it great?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Dan's
Oh,
running
sorry, I
it.
wanted to slide.
Just-
Okay, sorry.
Say click and then I'll.
So we decorated windows and ours was the best, seniors, yes. Stairwell was also really amazing. And this week we're doing dress up days and Cooper time games. So today was Barbie versus Ken. That was cool.
Who won?
Oh, probably the teachers because it's 5%, but I'll say the seniors. And then we also did tug of war, which is very fun to watch, but the staff one, close to time, almost we won. Okay, and then tonight is powder puff game. And yeah, and then we have the pep rally on Friday and parade on Friday and the football game and the bonfire. It's so exciting. Yep, and here's our homecoming shirt, and we sold out, which we never do. Yay, here it is.
Have you had homecoming shirts in years past?
We just bought like 20 less this time, but people kept coming up to me and were like, where are the other shirts? We want more.
Actually, didn't you buy the most you've ever bought, but you
Oh.
sold them all anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, click. Here's some pictures. This is the juniors window. And we had Third Avenue Cafe and freshmen had Artist Guild. And then the sophomores had their county candy store. These are, the seniors. Awesome as usual. That was pretty good. Juniors, they all look the same also. Sophomores went with a nuts theme, and yeah. And freshmen, nice try. Like, oh, that's the only one I'm going to show you. In your hallway. Beautiful. Oh,
Wait a minute, I'll let you see it one more time. Sorry. I went on too quickly. I apologize.
Have a look at it. Okay. So we did Decades Day. I forgot which one everyone had, but we 2000s. Favorite teacher day. There were a lot of melons running around. Oh my gosh. I guess my dad's everyone's favorite. Art readers said, tomorrow is duo day, rhyme without reason. So it's weird. My group is doing like Marilyn Monroe,
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, okay. Marilyn Monroe, right.
Marilyn Monroe. Oh, what was it? Oh, tennis pro and gym bro. They rhyme, but it doesn't make sense. And then Clipper Day, Friday. And click. Oh yeah, here's some pictures from the day of the tug of war. Tomorrow we have balloon prop relay, which will be very interesting because you have to like flop on people to pop the balloon. It's gonna be fun. Oh, Hungry Hippos was yesterday and it was very cool. I don't know. It's human Hungry Hippos, so just for sliding people around. Bobby Crackles was funny. They were kind of drowning themselves though. Like, yep, that's the games for tomorrow. All relay. We're gonna have three-legged race, I think. Yeah, potato sack race, wheelbarrow, maybe a puzzle, tic-tac-toe relay. Yeah, you don't care about this. Pretty quick. Is that it? Oh,
That must be the end.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Best week of the year. Yeah.
So go back to the teacher one. How many, did we hear how many teachers had back issues the next day? That's, yeah.
We'll find out tomorrow.
So Kirsten, I have to say, at the very beginning of this, I was looking at you because I did not see him doing the little like finger click. I was like, are you magical? Because I was trying to figure out how it was moving and I couldn't.
She didn't know either.
Yeah, it was just happening.
I didn't even know he was doing it.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you.
That's
Anything else or?
it.
All right, thank you.
And
And
thank you.
I'm just gonna, I don't know, Dan's probably told you this, but you know, I know as the year progresses, you may have more and more homework and that kind of thing. You don't have to sit here the whole time. Like, I don't know if anybody told
Or you might
that.
want to get to the.
But
We
you-
covered it. We said you usually tell the president they have to stay, but
Yeah,
he can leave if he
Yeah.
wants, or be the first.
yeah, you just throughout the year, you can
Maybe
go ahead.
one day if I.
Yeah,
Not today.
that's all right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Good job. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Next, we're heading down to the public comment section. And I can read this, but do we have anybody for the public comment section? See none, I will not read the paragraph there. Next, we're gonna do recognition. We have a nice recognition here. Employees that are recognized in the month of September. Summer school staff leaders are Ivy Barlament, Brenda Hartle, Stephen Jacobson, Stacy Judas, and Amanda Wilkie. So we'd like to recognize you for what you did this summer and thank you very much to all of you. So I think we're gonna.
Yeah, we'll do the quick little run through
Yep.
and then we'll congratulate them and thank them.
Yep.
So why don't we have the sunrise crew? So Principal Katie Smullen and then Amanda and Brenda. You could come on down and I'll give you copies here, Katie, of what you had written, so I can snap the picture and you can hand them the good stuff. No worries. Find these gentlemen here. We'll be off and running.
Thank you. Okay. Amanda Wilkie, I just want to thank her, for all that she did for the families, students and staff, for serving as the administrator for the elementary summer school program. Your creative problem solving and leadership skills, organization and kindness made summer school such a positive experience for everyone. She was just natural leader, so future. Awesome job, though. It really made it so fun. And Brenda Hardall, thank you from Sturgeon-based students, families, and staff for serving as the administrative assistant for the elementary summer school program. Your calm demeanor, your organizational skills, and your kindness are second to none. Summer school is such a positive experience, and your presence was a big reason why. Thank you. Yeah. So we're very lucky over at Sunrise, but it affects a lot of kids. So.
It's up to you, but yeah, the board will congratulate you in just a moment. We could have the middle school crew come on down. And I think part of the group with us tonight.
Oh, we go from there.
Stacy, we can pull onto that or this here, and I'll bring those up. You do your thing, I'll snap pics and it'll be good.
Right, tonight, we honor Ivy Bartman. She is our school secretary, and this was her first year working at our school. Her dedication and commitment in putting our, all our record keeping and for our classes and our attendance measures. She did all this in our first year of doing this position. She did a fantastic job. We thank her for dedication and support for creating this system to make summer school work at the middle school and high school end. She kept, like I said, kept track of schedules, classes, attendance records. That is not an easy task. We appreciate her efforts, dedication, support. Without her, this wouldn't have been possible. And we really are thankful that she's part of our team. So thank you, Ms. Bartman. You are a wonderful person on our staff. We love you. Love it. And also we also celebrate Stephen Jacobson, his excellent leadership skills and collaboration, both with the administrative team, but also members from Pulaski School District, and help setting up our entire Summer Learning Academy handbook and our programming. Without his efforts, this wouldn't have been possible. He just expedited the process. We understand his contributions had a huge impact for our school district. We're very thankful for what he's done for us. So fantastic leader, excellent teacher, coach, all around, just a wonderful person and great employee. So thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
I think we can short recess here, guys.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a short recess on up here.
And shake your hands.
Yeah. Thank you.
Everyone fast.
He doesn't know.
Washington games.
Friday.
Here.
Well, we're doing first parade. On Friday.
These are. You know.
I see that now, I see the. I see that again. Oh, yeah, no. We'll be good. Yeah, there's. These are back. That's what he's thinking. You sign on film the rest.
Yeah, that's just kind of like school board recognition. When you first heard it, my mind went way somewhere else.
No, they're just annual reports. Yeah. Appreciate it. We're different, but
Oh, it's expect to be a little.
We'll find other ways to do it.
Nothing major, sticky or anything like that.
Well, we are putting the church on the church across from the institute.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's really good. I'm gonna bring us back into session now. Again, thanks, everyone. They're all for the recognition. There is, I just want to housekeeping thing just before we get to the consent agenda. There is a survey on your station, and this is really neat idea. You can fill it out if you'd like. Basically, we're gonna get some information on the school board, and some of this information may go on our Facebook site. So people want to know a little bit more about us. If you fill that out, they'll know more about us. So there you go. And then Ann will take that back.
So don't put anything on there you wouldn't want anyone in the public to know. You see off the spot.
Yeah.
School board
Way to
recognition.
get electronically, the handwriting is
Oh, yeah.
worse than a first grader.
Mrs. D can send that out.
With you.
I would
Mine
like
seems to get worse by the
to
year.
fill it out that way,
Good idea.
and it would save some steps.
Good copy and paste comments, right? Yes.
I'll check it.
Everyone?
Perfect.
electronically?
Yeah.
And
One step.
when would you like it back?
National Board Week
Yesterday.
is the first week of October, so anytime.
Thank you. We'll do it expedient. How's that? Here we go. So consent agenda, we are down to that. The consent agenda consists of one, approving the meeting minutes of August 16th, 2023, and also September 6th, the learning session earlier this month. Approving the August bills, which are in your packet. Grants and donations under that. We have playground donations as follows. Rick and Nancy Jean Court Charitable Foundation has donated $1,000. Jim and Kathy Olson donated $1,000. United Way donated $4,500 towards the 4K, 5K swing on the elementary playground. The Curley family donated $1,500. Roger and Heidi Wood donated $250. Jacob Schultz donated $100. Carol Marchell donated $100. Christina Novelso Rogers donated $2,500, excuse me. Next, we have Gladys Schomer donated $100 to the Robert Nickel Auditorium Fund. The art department received a $100 donation from the Miller Art Museum. The soccer program received a $1,000 donation from Door County Memorial. In partnership, the next one here, in partnership with Door County Health and Human Services, the district has received the Youth Innovation Grant via Wisconsin Department of Children and Families for the amount of $100,000. Funds from this grant will be used to support the Door County Alternative Program, which we have discussed in the past. Resignations and retirements. Elena Tews has resigned from her assistant girls varsity basketball coaching position. Holly Tenor has resigned from her teacher associate position at Sunrise. Jesus Ramirez Sanchez has resigned from his teacher associate position at Sawyer. Jennifer Burlow has resigned from her teacher associate position at Sunrise. Amanda Anthony has resigned as the advisor for the language club. John Wilkinson has resigned from his special education teacher associate position at Sunrise. A motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented is recommended. I have a motion.
I move to, approve the consent agenda as presented.
Commissioner Hawes made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
No, we have a second by Commissioner Cruz. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we are to the operations agenda. We do not have anything for point 1, so point 2. Dan, the approved kitchen staff member.
Yeah, we end up having 2, so I'll call the first one 2A, as we often would do. Food Service Director Jenny Spooty recommends Teresa K. Meredith to begin again in the food service department. She held an instrumental role during COVID meal deliveries by organizing communication between food service production and transportation. He's had 10 decades of greenhouse growing experience. Will help us increase the yield grown in the greenhouse. The food service can provide more school grown food in our school meals. We want to welcome back her spirit, her green thumb, and everyday smile. So a motion to approve Teresa K. Meredith as a food service staff member is recommended. So if you're reading between that she used to work for, she did, hasn't for a while, but now she's coming back to the team.
I'll make a motion to approve Teresa K. Meredith as a food service staff member.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jenner-John, seconded by Commissioner Schultz to approve Curtis Osher as a food service. Well, sorry, Teresa K. Meredith as food service staff member. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'll go to 2B. Director Spooty recommends Curtis Eschauer, who will begin again a part-time job within food service. Curtis works primarily independently. However, he has a job coach available through Sunshine Resources. The board has heard about our partnership with Sunshine House before and having some of their clients work with us part-time. He worked alongside of us pre-COVID, and I was interested in coming back to the team. Curtis comes back with a kind heart and a strong work ethic. He'll be portioning food items and washing some dishes. So a motion to approve Curtis Eschauer as a food service staff member is recommended.
Make a motion to approve Curtis Shower as food service employee. Food service staff member.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hawes, seconded by Commissioner Chisholm to approve Curtis Osher as a food service staff member. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we are to approve teacher associates.
Yes, 3A, Cadence Will, as a special ed teacher associate, director of special education pupil services. Lindsay Ferry is pleased to recommend Cadence Will for a special ed TA position at Sunrise Elementary School. Cadence is a Sturgeon Bay graduate, has previously been employed with Phoenix Behavioral Health. Cadence enjoys working one-on-one with students to create goals that will help them find success. Cadence is joining the 3rd grade team over at Sunrise and is excited to bring her behavior learning to that already amazing team. Motion to approve Cadence Will as a special ed teacher associate at Sunrise, effective immediately, is recommended.
Move to approve Cadence Will as the special education teacher associate at Sunrise. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Schultz, second by Commissioner Spitka to approve Cadence Will as a special education teaching associate at Sunrise, effective immediately. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next up, 3B, Crystal Groff. Director of Special Education Pupil Services, Lindsay Ferry is pleased to recommend Crystal Groff for a special ed teaching associate position also at Sunrise Elementary School. Crystal has been an employee within the Sturgeon Bay Food Service Team and has demonstrated a strong work ethic since joining that team. This past summer, Crystal worked over at Path Camp and realized her true passion was working with students with disabilities. Team at Sunrise is eager to have her join the team as well in this new role. So a motion to approve Crystal Groff as a special education teaching associate at Sunrise effective immediately is recommended.
I'll make the motion to approve Crystal Groff as a special education teaching associate at Sunrise effective immediately. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Sturgeon, second by Commissioner Howard to approve Crystal Groff as a special education teaching associate at Sunrise. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now we are down to point C.
Yes, Harley Bush as a special education teaching associate. So Lindsay Ferry is pleased to recommend Harley as a member of the Sturgeon Bay High School ID and autism team. Harley has experience working with students with disabilities in both daycare settings and various alternative pathways. Harley is also a graduate of Sturgeon Bay Schools and excited to be back in the building in another role. The high school has welcomed her back. So a motion to approve Harley Bush as a special education teaching associate as part of the high school ID autism team effective immediately is recommended. I will note she'll probably just be working with us through the remainder of the month. But because she has begun work with us, we should still have you approve it. She's been in communication with us, if you will, about what her next item is going to be. So just in case someone's saying, I heard she might only be here so much longer. That's what we have going on with Harley. So technically, though, we should approve her as a part of the formal hiring process.
I move to approve Harley Bush as a special education teaching associate as part of the high school ID autism team effective immediately.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cruz, second by Commissioner Haas to approve Harley Bush as a special education teaching associate as part of the high school ID autism team effective immediately. All those, further discussion? Almost put the cart before the horse. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Next up, approve coaches. We've got a JV volleyball coach, Katrina Boucher. Is it Boucher or Boucher?
Boucher?
Depends on what side of the.
Bobby? I don't know.
Bushy.
All right, there it is.
All right.
Athletic Director Michael and Principal Nerby recommend Katrina Bushy as JV1 volleyball coach. She was coach last year, but resigned from the position in June. She is now, after all, able to continue coaching. Ultimately, she would continue in the same capacity as last year, and they write that we're happy to have her back. So a motion to approve Katrina Bushy as JV1 volleyball coach beginning with this current season, the 2023-2024 school year is recommended.
I'll make a motion to approve Katrina Bushy as JV volleyball coach beginning in 2023-24 school year.
Second.
Sorry, who was the second? You were? All right, sounds good. Perfect. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Howard, second by Commissioner Chisholm to approve Katrina Bushy as the JV1 volleyball coach beginning with the 2023-2024 school year. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So now we are to the, if we're done with those kind of approvals, now we are to the 0.5, approve the professional staff handbook revision pertaining to personal leave.
Yeah, so we have two agenda items dealing with several different things you've heard about over weeks, months, and in some cases, a couple of years. I'm not going to read every word to you. What we're starting with agenda item number 5 is one item. It would be the only potential revision to the actual staff handbook. And then those other items we'll get to in the next item, deal with the salary and supplemental pay guide. All right, so I will just summarize for anyone who might be tracking this or watch a recording at some point. So the first paragraph, and I'll start with the first sentence. Letter A of the employee leave section of the professional staff handbook on the top of page 14 is entitled personal leave. Right, from there, we go on to summarize how we've kind of navigated personal day, personal leave over the past number of years. Next paragraph talks about how we know, and again, the board hears this, I know, a few times a year, but the annual compensation review group meets. Historically, it met in spring. Most recently, we moved that meeting to winter to kind of talk through some different things, which is where some of these items come from there, whether this agenda item or the next. Flipping over to the next page. And again, based especially on the conversation 2 weeks ago tonight, as the board talked with Jake and me through some different scenarios and preferences based on what we had for that learning session, really is how we can bring this forward to you. So rather than try to sketch it all out the way you saw it in the learning session, as I talked with President Stefani and kind of work this through, I thought, well, let's just look at what have we approved. The handbook, right? You approve the handbook typically in May and June for the upcoming year. So we already have a handbook. We don't need to approve a whole handbook. In essence, all we'd be having you approve is a revision to said language. You see the track changes there like you see in school board policy from time to time. So that's not new with what's kind of in bold and underlined. In essence, saying, going from where we're at to each teacher having at least one paid personal day. Right, and for those that had the 10 years in, they still get the additional day, or the 25 days, they still have things being taken away there, but in essence, in place of one of the sub-deduct days, we talked last time about having a paid personal day, right? So we've talked about scenarios, whether it was 0 paid personal days, 1, 2, whatnot, and in the end, as we talked about 2 weeks, the thinking was, let's bring forward 1 day, and again, there's the formal language. So let me finish the notes for this moment, so you can have a motion and any discussion from there. So a motion to approve the revision to the personal leave section as presented is recommended. And I should also note, sorry, President Stefani, that we have the whole handbook in your packet. You don't need to be looking through the whole thing, right? Because you're already taking care of that. In essence, from that actual handbook, I also copied and pasted basically the 1 paragraph here, just to keep it simple for all concerned. Now we can probably do our.
Yeah, do we have a motion to approve the revision to the personal leave section as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the revision to the personal leave section.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jenner-John, seconded by Commissioner Schultz to approve the revision to the personal leave section as presented. Further.
And maybe I could just summarize for the group. We talked about this, but I know the question sometimes comes up, when would this go into effect? Because we're revising the current year's handbook, it would go into effect immediately. Right, so I will have my usual summary email of any of the board action from tonight. I have that drafted already. And then I have a reference in there to any of these types of items that the business office, I know Jake's been thinking about a communication that he can follow up with to the teachers so they kind of understand how that would all work. So just in case anyone was thinking that same thing, I can answer that before you ask.
Perfect. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're down to point 6, which is approved professional staff salary and supplemental pay guide revisions pertaining to longevity, supplemental pay, and appendix D, which is an additional employment pay schedule.
Yeah, so we know we have these items sketched out. And again, I know the board has heard about these for quite a period of time. I will summarize those kind of for the record here in the board meeting tonight. So again, the first paragraph talks about that annual compensation review process and how we have a salary supplemental pay guide. Basically, we just sometimes call it the pay guide for short. That is a companion item to the handbook that we just approved a revision to. That goes all the way back, to basically 2013, 2014, the year before I arrived, my first year working with that whole committee to kind of end up with what we have now. So aside from all that background information, we talked about this again 2 weeks ago tonight with the learning session, as well as prior to that. And we have 3 components. So I'm going to go through those 3 components. And then as President Stefani and I had talked about it, really, since there are 3 different pieces that are revisions to the same document, at the end of this, we could have one motion, second, et cetera, one approval to update the guide. Or theoretically, if a board member says, well, I'd rather take these one at a time or something, right? President Stefani, we said we can kind of take that however the board is comfortable. All right, so in the interest of time, I'll go right into it. 6A, so the longevity supplemental pay, I will read from this. Business manager Holtz has prepared 2 potential scenarios, revisions to the salary ladder we know, as well as an approach that focused on longevity with the district. In the end, as we all talked about this, it seemed like the preference of the group was the longevity supplemental pay approach, knowing we still need to update the salary ladder at a time in the future. But we've updated that a few times. We'll have to continue to do that over time. So again, rather than a lengthy narrative, what I did is I simply copied and pasted the longevity supplemental pay summary that would then be inserted into the supplemental pay section. Longevity pay would be treated as ongoing supplemental pay, just like the master's degree type pay or stipend we have. And again, that's kind of referenced, which is different from the yearly supplemental pay that's addressed in Appendix B. When we talk about that as the board and learning session, it's often those would be like the leadership stipends, right? Or for people that have like a reading certification where teaching reading. So those are those kind of yearly ones that are a little different. So again, kind of to recap, the longevity supplemental pay that I'll continue with is just like a master's degree stipend that they get each year. On to the next page, should also note that the total projected cost that Jake came up with for us was $100,843.75 for, in essence, the type of revision that could be approved here within moments. Got sketched out for us. We have, in essence, in increments, right, a $500 stipend starting with the 5th year teaching in the district, goes to 1,000 starting with the 10th, 1,500 with the 15th, 2,000 with the 20th, 2,500 with the 25th year, $3,000 annually starting with the 30th, 3,500 for 35th year, and 4,000 for someone that would hit the magic 40 years. So again, thinking was rewarding, right? We talk a lot about attracting and retaining staff. So while we do certain things with attracting, the thinking was this is one of those things that we could theoretically use to help retain staff, not unlike the post-employment benefit change and some of the other things the board has approved before. So that's 6A. Should I keep going? Yep. Appendix D, and again, this is one where we've got a grid that has several different things on it. The first one of those is the right, we usually just call it curriculum writing rate. That's what you would normally hear us say, not that you hear that one too often. This is pretty straightforward that we handle within the district, but you see there are several other tasks that align with this rate. Again, as Jake has explained previously, he took a run at 2 different inflationary calculations to come up with updated hourly rates for this part of this Appendix D kind of payment schedule, which we haven't updated that in quite a while. And again, in essence, we're looking at the higher of the 2 that was a little bit higher was the one that has seemed preferred. So that would take someone with a bachelor's degree from a $17.25 rate up to $23.20, which is, you know, a pretty good hourly rate. A couple of different, well, let me read the master's one. The $19.45 an hour to $26.15, again, pretty good increase. What would be with that at this point, based on the numbers that we've seen over the past year, would be an increased cost of about $25,834.77. With approving this revision. Again, I touched on it last week, but I should say it tonight for the record. Since these summer training days and whatnot are all pre-approved by the principal, the director, and really the admin team when we go through these each April, you know, we're not talking about hours that are put in without pre-approval. And if we got to a point where budget-wise, it was like, ooh, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we got to watch it a little bit, we could cap the dollars spent over the summer on that. And wouldn't have, you know, some liability that would get out of control. So really that's item number 6B. 6C on that same appendix, summer school teaching, and we actually talked a lot about this in January, so I don't need to read this all back to you. But at that point, right, the summer school teaching rate, if you flip over, was lower, and we know, especially with summer school teaching, right, our staff here in Door County have a variety of other options. We need at least some staff members, kind of like some we recognize tonight, actually, to be able to run a quality summer program, although we don't need huge numbers of staff. So at that time, on a temporary basis, we had approved moving the bachelor's rate from $20.55 to $26 and a master's rate from $23.20 to $28.50. And again, that action I asked you to consider in January, which you did do and approve, was just temporary as we wanted to see how would summer school go. Overall, you know, there's obviously tweaks we'll make to it and the time frame will vary by summer, but overall, we're pleased with how it went. Jake has enough data to look at that and say, yeah, we can support this, we can fund summer school in the future with how that all works with that revenue limit worksheet. So really, that in a nutshell is number 6, letter C, summer school teaching. So again, with any of those, you see the motion, I will read this closing one, a motion to approve the revisions to the professional staff salary and supplemental pay guide as presented is recommended.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the revisions to the professional staff salary and supplemental pay guide as presented.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jenajon, seconded by Commissioner Haas to approve the revisions to the professional staff salary and supplemental pay guide as presented. Further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, that brings us down to the reports. So. I don't know, Bob Barker, Price is Right, music coming.
Yeah, but it is.
We'll go right then. Do we have any, I'm gonna start doing this. This is what we used to do pre-COVID, and I think we're getting back to it. Some of these, in case anyone has a legislative update or a CISA update, or any committees or seminars that you were at. Okay, hearing none, I think we'll go to the high school. But we do not.
I have excused Principal Nervy so he can supervise at Powder Puff. We
Got
agree.
it.
A, he's got a written report for you, and B,
Yes.
we heard from his student council president who gave a nice update on some of the things student council is doing, so that probably covers that for us tonight.
Well, then that brings up Mr. Smallin. Dun, 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 dun. Come on down.
$1. All right, so I'm gonna be just reminding us all, we're only on day 12. So just remember, like, for our in-service, we covered a couple of key topics. I put in the report, literacy and math, social emotional learning. First couple of days of school expectations. But who wasn't here tonight was Stacy Judas, and she oversees our literacy team, and she works with training the literacy so that the teachers that teach programs might hear called Spire or Language Live. How those programs are set up, the purpose of it, how it measures, why certain things are important. Because it's in the past, we were a little wonky. Everyone kind of had some of their own opinions and we didn't finish evenly. So she's overseeing this and she's monitoring them. She's pushing into the class, observing them, providing suggestions and advice. So that's off and running, which is great to see. Our math teachers, kind of on the same stride. They've already had this gentleman from 66 come in. He's met with them, mentioned 2 things that we agreed upon. We're going to start our classes with high level thinking activities instead of reviewing yesterday's assignments. That's more engaging, kind of gets the brain going more. Plus, we're also going to increase math talk by the students, less by the teacher. We don't want students to mimic or take notes as much as they have been, like following just what the teacher prompts them to do. We want them to talk out these things. Some of the studies that Chad shared with the team is like an ideal world, 65% of the class would be having students being engaged, and so they're more engaged in talking. So that was shocking, and they said if they do that, they would have 2 years growth in math. So it's going to take time, but he's already done an observation, met with them once. So this has all happened in the first 12 days of school. So that's off and running. We're doing a book study. We're done with chapter 1, working on chapter 2. Chad's going to be back in about 2 weeks. Another young teacher you'll get a chance to meet, I'm sure down the road, is Drew Demity. He's our 8th grade English teacher. He introduced to the staff a concept called buddy rooms and Clipper crew cards. So Stephen started the Clipper Pride cards. We're switching to crew because we want to connect with the kids more and do it more frequently instead of doing it once for a year to obtain 5 letters. They're working on 4 letters multiple times throughout the year. And to give you an example, the staff has really done a great job. Last year we wrote 45 cards. We're at 85 as of today. So I mean that's just kind of just shows you like the teachers are writing kind messages to the kids. Our goal is to have 5 positives for every negative. I've only had I think 4 situations I had to be involved in. Any kids were disciplined, had to be worked out. 7 staff took care of the buddy room, so I said, Wayne, I'd send you over to Jake's room. You're gonna take 5 to 10 minutes to reflect, write down what happened, try to find a way to resolve it. You're gonna come back and get back into class instead of sitting in my office waiting for me. I'm not putting you back in the class. But they can work it out. They're going back and we want you, because that's where the action happens, that's where the learning takes place. So in 12 days, just to review, we've done all our STAR testing, 85 Cooper Crew cards. 60+ kids have went through language live testing. Some have had some additional testing. Some have been opted out. They don't need it anymore. And we're just double checking to make sure if any other child does need, where we can find this to be helpful for them for the reading and writing abilities. We've had over 15 parent meetings and some home visits, 2 family tailgates that we served, I think, over 300 meals at, and then the dreaded picture day is already on. That is what's going on. I'll give more next month. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot. So next, I believe we have,
Mrs. Smolin is working her way toward the podium again. As she's coming forward, I can tell you, I don't know how many times I walked down to Mark's office this summer and Stacy Judas was down there working through, where you just heard about Mrs. Judas. And yes, she's still teaching 8th grade social studies with everything else, but just going through the lists with the kids and who needs what help and what they need to do with the teachers. They were plugging away on that also. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Yeah, so we've tagged on to homecoming week and have done dress up this week too. So the kids have had fun with that. Today was dress up day. So we had like little bow ties, some princess dresses. So trying to get into like being a clipper and having fun with it. So it's mismatch day tomorrow, but we'll see what that brings. We have next week our data digs. And so after getting that first week of school, getting everybody oriented back, then we did some assessing to see where everyone is over the summer, looking at our summer slide. And I really do think summer school helped a lot, like just knowing the kids, them feeling more comfortable being in the building, especially our 2nd to 3rd graders coming in. So that having those connections, that was really key. We'll take all that data next week and do our data digs with 3rd, 4th, and then 5th grade. And so some groups will go to Crossroads, some groups will have open bird sanctuary come in. So the kids have some value added good stuff happening while the teachers are mulling through lots of data, getting kids in the right intervention groups, making sure everyone's getting what they need. So we're excited for those partnerships. We have new reading curriculum, CKLA, and that is, it's good stuff. It really is. And the teachers are feeling good about it, but to switch a curriculum, it's like, it's a big change. And so we're trying to make sure we give a lot of support. And I feel like Constance Vogel, our reading specialist, has been amazing, and we're getting them what we need. Sunrise orientation was last week. Was that last week? Yes. And we had a great turnout of parents who came in. The PTO supported it. So we did pizza afterward, where you came into your student's classroom to really listen to what are the expectations. And after a week of school, you have some questions you wonder. And it was just another great event. 2nd year we've done this. And then next week we'll start our playground committee. We'll meet monthly now. We really did a lot of playground work this summer, and now we're like, we have school. So we have to pause it a little bit so that we can do a great job with our providing a great experience for our students. But we're thankful for everyone who's donated. I know there's quite a few of you who have already done that. And so we are grateful for that. And so we're gonna just keep at it. And that's about it for now.
Very briefly, I just want to highlight, it's in your written report, but the
Yeah.
whole district-wide open house. So we've had some really good turnouts in recent years, and it happened again. And I think, right, the board members here at times, just because of the nature of how things are, right, if there's a difficulty or someone not engaging, but could you just briefly talk about, like you said, the classroom teachers saw pretty much all the parents other than maybe 1 or 2.
That was overwhelming. And at the time I checked it with a few parents who have like 4 kids, 5 kids. I'm like, tell me, was this enough time? Because it's district wide, right? You got to pop over the kids who have, and they're like, yeah, it was, because you're not, you could get to each of the spots. And it's nice because they all know the same time, 4 to 6, same night. They said there was like 1 or 2 parents of each class who weren't able to make it, but otherwise they saw like everybody.
So,
That was great. And that's just that really nice drop off supplies, meet the teacher, have the space, feel good about it. We added the sunrise orientation piece to really dig in and sit down and go through more at length. So, yeah.
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Principal DeVillers is coming on down, as you heard her say, Katie, just now about the kind of orientation piece, right? You think of middle school. We don't have all the middle school kids and families sit through something. It's usually the sixth graders, right? High school, usually incoming ninth graders, right? Different ways to try to dial that in to hit on that information, but also have school open. Greetings, Katie.
Just to add on to the open house, it was well attended at Sawyer as well, similar to Sunrise, but also gives community organizations a chance. If you would walk through Sawyer, then like we did during open house, you would see YMCA has a table there, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, other organizations. It's growing. It fills up our foyer and it gives them a chance to connect as well. So it does provide that to the community also. We're off to a great start at Sawyer. Want to thank all the parents for preparing their kids to come to school and the teachers for the big transition of teaching little 4K kids how to do school, you know, as well as the other ones to welcome them back. Right now, we are also participating in homecoming. If you would have walked today through the halls, you would have seen beautiful dresses on little girls, and you would have seen some boys in suits and ties, bow ties, and straight ties, and it was really fun. We didn't do that last year, and I'm so glad that, you know, we are doing it. Come tomorrow, it is mismatch day. I can't wait to see what that is all about. Also related to what Katie was saying, literacy assessments I met with the literacy team today, are just about complete. All kids will have been assessed. We are trying an October data dig, October 3rd to the 5th, nearing it after what is happening at Sunrise. They helped us, and the specialists, our special classes like art, music, bio teachers actually did the planning for the event, the main planning, because they will be with the children during that time. And we have some parents who are coming to volunteer and help out. It will be the afternoon again of the 3rd through the 4th, and it will be for the same purpose, to have a lot of time to dig deep and make sure that we're providing the right intervention for students. So I'll report back on how it goes. I'm really excited to give that time back to the teachers. I also wanted to talk about this summer. I had the opportunity to hang out with the bus drivers, and that was a very interesting and fun time. We talked about what's successful about their work with our children and what are their challenges, and we talked a lot about bus expectations and gave them some professional learning around that. I'll be meeting with them throughout the school year, and we will continue to have those conversations so that we can work as a team on processes and things when things are going well, as well as when they're not. It's a great group of hardworking folks that keep our kids safe, and it was nice to get to know a lot of them. This week, Officer Jenner, our SOR officer, has been doing safety drills with every classroom, different things of how kids need to be safe in different situations, and that the culmination of that will be on October 3rd. At 9:30 in the morning, October 3rd, if you would go down Main Street, you'll see the whole school walking towards Sawyer Park. We did this last year. We walk down, we make it fun for the kids, but if we ever would have to leave school, that's our rally point. And so we do that, and we walk the kids through the pavilion. We have a little discussion and working with the bus company to bring the kids back. They don't have to walk both ways. Last year we got the buses and a lot of them wanted to walk back. So I don't know how to work, but we do have buses to bring them back. The teachers are working hard on having them understand safety things. We had our first fire drill, those kinds of things. For new little kids, it's always interesting, and it's new. It's scary sometimes, and they do a great job of making it comfortable for all kids. So that's what's happening at Sawyer.
Thank you, Principal DeVillers. As Director Weber is coming forward, so you heard both Katie DeVillers and Katie Smullen mention those special days. So from a board perspective, you and I know when we talk about calendar and different things, on the one hand, the teachers need time to do certain tasks. On the other hand, parents expect their kids to be at school, right? We understand both sides of that. So in essence, what has happened over years is we've had a system of specialists, sometimes outside providers, Crossroads, Coast Guard, whatever, doing special programs for our kids at school when their parents expect them at school. But yet the teachers can break away for part of the day on some of these data days to go through the data they need to then be ready to, reshuffle math groups, reading groups, whatever the case might be. So that's really what they're talking about. So it's really been neat to see them figure out what needs to be done. So kids and parents are taken care of and happy, and the teachers have a chance to dig into what they need to, that they can't always on a regular day. Which kind of is a segue of sort to what maybe Jen has to say, I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. I prepared an entire page of things that I could talk about, but, really the point that I'm realizing more and more these days is that, all the good work that's happening throughout the district is really the stuff that I'm really concerned about, right? Like, and want to share with you. I'm having a hard time, like dialing it in, right? Whittling it down. I think Mark said that we're only on the 12th day of school, but the amount of things that have already gone on in those 12 days is astounding. So I have decided while I was sitting there that I'm going to dial it down to just two very, very specific things. The first of which is something that I've been thinking about since Monday night. Again, 12 days of school, but everything is well underway. I have a little list here. Implementation of CKLA literacy curriculum. Screening window is open. You've heard them talk about testing and data digs well underway. Title grant applications are into the DPI and ready to go. We've already had tech mentor meetings, a district leadership team meeting, PBIS, PLC. All of these things are already happening. In all of that, though, on Monday night during our district leadership team, one of our staff members said something that I thought was really important. What she wrote on her little post-it was that we are pushing repeat on the things that are working. And I thought that was so important. I've been thinking about it ever since she said it, because when I listen to all the other people talk about what's going on, that's really the things that are going well, is the fact that there are already established systems, routines, and procedures that we are working on perfecting now. And that's a really, really exciting place to be. The second thing I want to mention is sort of a spin-off of that. And that is that last Friday, I attended the first monthly network meetings at CISA 7. Okay, so I'm the district assessment coordinator. There's a whole bunch I could say about that, but we'll save that for another time. Also the curriculum director. And so this was the first of our meetings, and it was packed, both in person and virtual attendees from across the CISA 7 district. And the thing that everyone was very concerned about, the reason for the huge amount of people, was Act 20. Do we know about Act 20? I can't remember if we talked about this in this group or not.
When you tell them what it deals with, they'll go, oh, yes, we do.
Oh, yes, okay. So the Wisconsin legislature has taken it upon themselves to mandate very specific requirements for reading instruction in the state of Wisconsin, specifically early literacy. Okay. And we knew this was coming, and it was released just over a month ago. And people are freaking out, quite honestly. They really are. But not me. We should not be freaking out. I sat in that meeting. I could barely sit in that meeting. I was so thrilled and so proud and so excited. And I also felt kind of bad for the rest of the people in the room, because we are so far ahead of this in Sturgeon Bay. I can't even describe to you how exciting that is. I texted Dan in the middle of the meeting, which I try not to do. He's a busy guy, right? And I think I said something like, actually, I sent you an email, didn't I? And I said, I can barely stay in my seat right now. We are so far ahead of this. We should just be celebrating. So there is a 4-page document that CISA 7 prepared titled Act 20 Checklists and Action Steps, right? So the first action step here for districts in our CISA is to understand the definition of science-based early literacy instruction. Check. We're done. We're done. One of the other ones says, conduct a crosswalk between your instructional materials. So, our textbooks, our workbooks, the things we put in front of kids, a crosswalk comparing those and our intervention materials, looking for evidence of each of the 9 components of science-based early literacy. I'll just name a couple of them. They should sound familiar to you. phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, building background knowledge, oral language. Okay, there are 9 of these components. Other districts have to learn what they are and then dig through all of their materials to decide, are we doing those things? Where are we doing them? If we're not, what are we gonna do? We're done. We're done. It's reason to celebrate. It really is. So thank you all for being so supportive. I promise you that we'll be able to push repeat on what we're doing in literacy as we start to take a closer look at math and science and all of our related subject areas. So it's a good start. Thanks. Yes.
If I can just kind of, because for some of the new board members and also maybe somebody in TV land that's watching this or internet land, the reason we have some of this, and I'm just paraphrasing what I think we've heard many times, is because of what we did for literacy back. I'm sorry, I have COVID brain. It was about 4 years ago, right? It feels like,
It feels like forever.
yeah, but it was like just before everything kind of went
Yes.
crazy.
Yep.
That we changed, or I shouldn't say changed. We looked at how we were teaching reading and curriculum because we did have some identified gaps at the time.
Absolutely.
So that's why
That's why we're so far
we're
ahead.
there, because we did that work with the person that we hired, the specialist from California
Mhm.
that came in. You know, there was all sorts of stuff. That's why we are there.
Right.
And I think that's important to note, because some of you that are newer may not know that we did this deal, and
Maybe the
for
priority.
others, this is just a kind of recap of why that was probably good, because, well, the main thing is we wanted to have kids that can read, right? That was the main reason.
Yes.
So that worked. But it helps us in this new brave new world of rules or whatever's coming from Madison. We're kind of good to go on some of those topics because we had to do that when we were looking at our curriculum for reading. So
So do you
Absolutely.
have to like demonstrate or something now that there's this new rule, the F20, so we probably still have to do all the paperwork?
Yes, except that we already have all of those things in place, at least in part. So for example, one of the things that is making people really nervous, is something called individualized learning plan, right? So, it's new to most people that you have to have screening data. And then any one of our students who falls below the 50th percentile on that screening data needs to be diagnostically tested then. Other districts have to figure that part out. Then they have to decide on what diagnostic tests they're going to give. And based on that, and then intensive interventions and instructions. If those students are still not making progress, they have to write a specific plan. We've done all that. We're all ready to go. So yes, there's paperwork involved, but one of the things I did was we read the last coaches meeting we had this summer. I forced them, I dragged them through Act 20, the legislation, right? And we read it line by line, and then I said, like, where are we? And then will we do that? Mhm. Okay, next line. What do you think about that? Will we do that? Mhm. What about this line? Will we do that too? How about this line? Well, that's our next step. Mhm. Yep, that's exactly right. So yes, there's a lot to do still, but in comparison to where everybody else is, as Mike said, because we've been in this 3-year-long journey already, we've had some really smart staff members, some help from a consultant from Bozeman, Montana, not California.
oh, sorry.
No, it's okay, because there are people in TV land who might, right? We took a gamble, right? We said, like, we think this is where we need to put all of our eggs in this one basket for the time being. The biggest piece of this, I'll be really honest with you, is that all teachers of literacy And all principals in schools that teach early literacy have to have, I'm gonna say legislatively approved training. People don't know what they're gonna do. Top 10 tools, it's on the list of approved training. Mark was talking about Stacy Judas and how she's leading the middle school literacy team through Keys to Literacy, also on the list. It's already approved, where we have all of our staff trained. It's huge.
But we did this for another reason, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
Identified reason that we were trying to rectify. It just so happens that it's gonna help us with this now.
Well, that and, I mean, the next time I stand here, I'll have data for you to show you where we at and where we're at. And some of it's gonna be great and some of it's probably gonna still be pretty ugly. Honestly, I mean, we just have to be real about it. But the important thing is that we get to push repeat on the things that we did already last year that we know are working, and we're gonna get there. Already, our third grade teachers are saying to me, I mean, when I get a text at 9 o'clock at night from a third grade teacher who says, I think this is it. I think this is the class that wasn't affected by COVID, that has had a normal introduction to what it feels like to be in school. And we're teaching them how to read in all the right ways, and they're already seeing a difference. It's big, well. Big deal.
Yeah, that was an investment for us that we, had to think long and hard about, but it's good to see it paying off. It really is.
It really is.
And
Thanks.
it's good that we have such great staff that.
And we were doing it for
Put
the
in
right
extra
reasons, because
time
we
and-
truly wanted them to succeed and exceed the literacy goals that any of us had for them. And now the state is asking us to take a look at that. We already were for all the right reasons, not because we had to.
And it's good for the kids.
And just on another side, kind of doing a victory lap for a second, looking back at time. It was good that we were in school that year when we were in school, when a lot of people weren't, because that third grade class you're talking about would have not been in school for a year. So it's gonna help them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thanks.
We down to,
Yeah, Director Ferry's at a special education conference right now, so she yields her time as well. So I think we're up to Jake.
Jake, you were up.
You know, the bad news about that is all the funding that goes with the literacy stuff. Now we have to think extra hard about how we get to claim that. So, feel bad for
That's
me.
why we hired this person.
So a lot going on this month, not a whole heck of a lot to report on, yet. That'll really come in the next month, as you can see in my reports. I sent out a second one yesterday in my email with the preliminary, that included the preliminary third Friday numbers. There seems to be something positive going on in those, not entirely sure what yet. But I think with those increases, in the cohort, or in cohorts, that's a positive thing. The only other thing I'll touch on is the new vehicles. I do plan, I would expect that we'll have something for you to approve next month. I'm not sure how that's gonna look. Traditionally, we just bought last year when we went out for bid, the local dealership, which has since changed hands, didn't offer a discount, and there just wasn't much going on. Now, I don't know what this labor strike's gonna do to any prices. But if we get that again, we may have to look really long and hard at used. Which may mean we say, and I'm not sure exactly how we might do this, but say we approve up to $40,000 for a vehicle, and I don't know, you guys trust me to find the right one. I'm not sure how that might look, because that would have to be there it is. We need to pick it up, type of vehicle. So, I think I have it in there. One would be in conjunction with the alternative school grant that the county did. And then the other would be a general one for the district. So that's where the two potential vehicles would be. Other than that, I look forward to talking to you guys more in depth in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Jake. All right, the Great Western Hunter.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Just two items I'll highlight, one on the website front. And again, Jen's talked about that in the past, so we were initially thinking late September, might be ready to launch the new website. It looks more like next month in October. So Jen Hansen and others have been working on that, so we thank all them for their efforts. Again, when I know more, you'll know more, and we'll go from there, so not a big deal. And then the last item I did have in my report, Culbertson, so Jake and I met with the Culbertson leadership trying to figure out kind of, nothing's getting cheaper, yet we only want to pay so much, and how do we budget for it if we don't sketch it out correctly? So I asked Joe Culbertson, high up kind of in their chain of command, if you will, to kind of sketch some things out. He did send us some information this week. I just finally had a chance to look at the email now, and then we'll be disappearing. So I shared it with Jake. Got Joe a message back that when I'm back, we'll look more at it and get in touch with him. And what we'd like to be able to do is kind of figure out, well, how is this doable? And how do we sketch it over time that really fits within how we budget for operation referendum cycles, and other things where we're looking several years ahead, not just here and there. And then they come to us when the fiscal year has begun and thought, ooh, here's where inflation's at. What can we do? It's kind of like, well, it's too late now. So anyway, working with them, nothing formal on that. I don't know exactly how that's going to go, but they were responsive to some of the things that we had asked. And so we're going to try to work that out. Again, I'll let you know more when we know more. That's it.
Can we speak really quickly about Sturgeon Bay being in the top third of the greatest high schools or best high schools or?
Yeah, that was, I know when we were talking at learning session recently, Mike, and you talked about that particular article.
Yeah.
My mind jumped to that one. I hadn't seen the article you saw, but I know Craig from the Pulse had reached out. And then I would kind of had said, Craig, I can give you some information.
Yeah.
But some of that, I'd rather you talk to Principal Irby because it's high school specific, which they connected, and I know a number of Keith's comments were in there. So yeah, there were different things, and I may have teased one of the neighboring superintendents who's pictured with that, even though they're not ranked as high as maybe another district and we are. So, we're gonna have a little fun with it.
Yeah, see, I just wanted to.
Positive.
Just
Yeah, positive.
put that out there. Well, fun, WWR too, but. Sturgeon Bay was
There we go.
67%.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh my gosh, teacher.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Jenner, you made the motion, Commissioner Phillips seconded it. Further discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.